Shane Ross to have his question first, if that's agreed. Agreed. So, Deputy Ross, wish to introduce your question.
Yes.
50 seconds.
Thank you. I want to ask the Minister of Finance what his timetable is for the sale of the government stakes in Bank of Ireland and AIB, whether he has sought any external advice on the matter, whether he is keeping in touch with the public interest directors on the proposed sale, his plans for the proceeds, and if he will make a statement on the matter.
As the Deputy is aware, the State has already executed the successful disposal of some of its investments in the banks. Last year, the State completed 3 transactions: the sale of our Cocoon preference share investment in Bank of Ireland and our investment in Irish Life. These disposals generated proceeds of €4.45 billion. The Deputy will be aware that AIB and Bank of Ireland are at different stages in their recovery, and this influences the relative attractiveness of each bank to the investor community and their consequent valuation. Bank of Ireland is the more advanced of the two, and this provided us with the opportunity to choose to avail of last year. Following the monetarisation of the preference shares in December 2013, our remaining investment in Bank of Ireland comprises our 14% equity holding. The market value of this holding at the current share price of 33 cents per share is €1.5 billion. As I've stated recently, any decision to sell this stake will be a question of price. Officials in my department continue to monitor market conditions and advise me in this regard. With reference to AIB, I am encouraged by the progress the bank is making. Our first priority is to see the bank return to profitability and address its legacy issues. In time, this should enable the State to be in a position to exit part of its investment in the bank, should we wish to do so. And I have said recently the government might look to test the market before the next election in order to establish a valuation for the bank. Officials within my department have extensive banking and capital markets experience, both from previous roles in the private sector and from work done for the State during the crisis. Hence, they are well qualified to assess suitable opportunities and strategies to dispose of the State's remaining bank investments. In addition to this, these officials meet regularly with internationally renowned investment banks to discuss relevant market intelligence relating both to the Irish banks and international banking developments in general. My officials also meet with international institutional investors to gauge their interest and investment criteria. Notwithstanding this, I will consider the need for specialised financial advice when I need additional market-based advice to strategise how to best dispose of our investments arise.
I have to interrupt the Minister there. The rest of the reply will appear in the official report. Deputy Ross.
Thank you. Just on a point of order, I just have this. This is my last go at this, is it? Do I have another go?
No,
I do. Okay,
second supplementary, quickly.
Yeah, thank you. Minister, I was kind of prompted to ask this question because I saw you in the I think it was a Bloomberg interview in the snow in Davos, and it looked to me as if you were making a pitch there to the international investors to say, here come AIB and Bank of Ireland are for sale, and they are very attractive. And I wonder, I take from what you say, sorry, just one point I'd like to make. You say the price of Bank of Ireland shares are 23 cents a share there? 33. Oh, that's right. Okay. I'd just like to ask, do you feel under, first of all, any pressure to sell these? I noticed you said the next election. I don't see why the election is a cut-off point at all.
We have a mandate for the 5 years.
Yeah,
the point I make.
So it's not an election. It's not really an election.
It's not election related.
It's not an election related. That was just a date which you're talking about. You're talking about. In fact, you're talking about March 2016. That's what you're looking at. But that's fine. And I ask specifically the question. I ask another specifically this question. Is it not very dangerous to be putting the two-pillar banks, as you call them, out for sale to global and international predators?
Thank you, Deputy.
At a time when we are encouraging, by our policy, a cartel. There's a real danger here that we have very few players in this market. And the government at least has some hold over the banks that we have left.
Thank you. I'll go back
to protect retailers. And so the danger of giving it to and selling them to an outside or two outside bodies, means that there could be an international cartel rather than a local cartel.
Minister.
Business news channels like Bloomberg and the various other channels, they give an opportunity to get the Irish story out there and to get messages out, which one finds difficult to do otherwise. And I try to affect market sentiment in the interviews I do. And the point that I wanted to underline was that the state doesn't have a long-term interest in holding state banks, and that we would restore the banks to the private sector in due course. And the supplementary questions then are, when will we do that? So I said we'll test the market in due course. But the message isn't so much that we're about to sell the banks. The message is that the policy is we won't continue with state banks in the medium term. We'll get private investors in. Of course there are concerns. And you're right, I would like to have more competition in the banking sector in Ireland. I also think that in Ireland and across Europe, banks will not be able to provide the liquidity that the economy needs across Europe, and we'll have to move more towards an American model where there are non-bank sources of funding for investment and for growing the economy.
Deputy Ross?
Yeah,
one minute.
I thank the Minister for his response. Is that difficult to square? Maybe you could answer this question with the fact that he's been to Brussels looking for recapitalisation of the banks. And is this sale subject to the subsequent recapitalisation, or is it going to be done regardless of that? In other words, to go to Europe and say, look, these banks need capital badly, we need to be recapitalised or at least compensated under the ESM. Are they going to be subject as recapitalised, or are they going to be sold as they are at the moment?
Thank you. Final reply.
Well, first of all, I don't believe that the Irish banks require extra capital, but we would like to recover some of the capital that we had already invested in the recapitalisation in March, April of 2011. And there are a number of things we're pursuing in parallel, and the movements don't contradict each other. But one way for getting some of the money back from European sources that we invested in 2011 in terms of capital would be for a European institution to take some of the bank shares and to give us money in lieu. So that's obviously one model. So either way, whether it's a sale to the private sector or whether it's some kind of retroactive recapitalisation, the value of the shares is very, very important. So it's quite clear that as we manage our portfolio, enhancing the value of the shares is important, whichever route we pursue.
Come on. Now the next